Well, this guy, I don't even know. Is he currently holding up his fence? Is he braving the storm? We missed him yesterday, but he joins us right now. Sactown Sports Kings insider Frankie Cartoscelli. Good morning, Frankie.
Good morning, fellas. Yeah, I'm glad you all made it in safely. I was talking on Twitter to some folks there, and I asking, or if you're not from the area, is this normal? I mean, I grew up in Yuba City. We never experienced anything like this. I'm not sure if you guys ever had anything like this. I know I think it was 97. There was a flood,
yes,
or going to be a flood. But I was in 3 at that point. So I don't really remember that. But pretty scary stuff, fellas. Glad you guys are doing okay.
Yeah, I threw in. He was 3. Yeah, we had Eileen.
I remember.
Yeah, we had Eileen Zvora on earlier from our content partner KCRA 3. She said, actually, this isn't as bad as it was. About a decade ago? Not that long ago, actually, 5 years ago, when the Oroville Dam broke and there was all kinds of craziness. Just the wind here is insane. My backyard's jacked. I know you had a fence issue. So by the way, I don't know if you just got the group email, but power is back on here. Yeah. So
I got the email. I'm happy the power's back on. The building's being put, there's a little bit of damage, but being put back together. But we're rebuilding over there at 1140. We're doing all right.
We're rebuilding 20. It's a fine brick by brick. As the Kings have been rebuilding this year, a culture, rebuilding expectations, and oh golly, so much more. As you saw a win last night, Frank, you said it yesterday. I think it echoed. Everybody was saying it. Really, sure was nice just to have a stress-free, pretty consistent blowout victory where the starters could sit on the bench in the fourth. You had light the beam chance pretty early. It was very nice as opposed to their previous 3 wins where they won by a combined 4 points.
Yeah, absolutely. Are those games fun? I mean, they're fun when the Kings win, but for the most part, they're torturous when watching these games come down to not the last couple of minutes, really, but the last possession. I mean, these games the Kings have been either losing or pulling out at their end have come down to the last possession. And I think Kings fans could probably attest that they're tired of watching these games come down to whoever has the ball last or whoever gets the benefit of the whistle last, I guess, for some of these past games. But it was nice to have a game that the Kings should have won, that they just completely brought the hammer down. You have Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox combining for 23 points, but the Kings score 136. That just speaks to how deep this team is and how when they're on in all aspects that they're very dangerous. And guys like Malik Monk, Trey Lyles, and Chimezie Metu, of course, who was back in the backup center role, have big contributions off the bench. That's why the Kings were able to sit Fox and Sabonis down the stretch and let these bench guys kind of go out and get the 3-point record. So fun night, stress-free night, in a game that the Kings seemed like they were going to kind of, I think we've all been saying they've been playing with their food a little bit in some of these games. They've had big leads, but last night they didn't do that. They said, okay, we're going to go ahead and take care of business and beat a team that they should beat, because the Kings, again, they're in first place here on January 10th. If they're a first place team that's late in the season, they need to act like it. I mean, this isn't really, to me, a fluke anymore. We're getting close to the All-Star break, and the Kings are a top 5 seed in the West. So winning games like last night are important.
Frankie, coach went to Metu. That was a change. We really hadn't seen him play in a while, and he got really good production from him. And I think kind of doubled down in the postgame saying, that I'm kind of want to see him be the fastest, backup big. He's faster, more athletic than any other backup bigs he's going to play. So do you think this sticks for a while with Metu kind of getting the call first until it has to change again?
I think it does. I mean, I think that Chimezie, his minutes earlier in the season when he was the backup center were, I think you have to say they're probably the most successful, which isn't saying a lot, but probably the most efficient that the Kings have been as far as the bench goes with Chimezie at the backup center. And he's someone that is, again, he's a lob threat. He comes last night and immediately, I think he had 6 points over his first 3 minutes, just cleaning up around the rim and on a lob. So 11 points, 9 boards, 14 minutes. I mean, is he this good of a rebounder consistently? No, he has not proven he's this good of a rebounder consistently. But Mike Brown and the team awarded him the defensive player of the game chain last night because of how great he was on the glass. So if he can go ahead and kind of dig deep and be that kind of presence, get some rebounds, he's athletic enough to do it. He just has to prove he can do it on a consistent basis. Yeah, I mean, the Kings, I think they can plug that hole until Monty McNair needs to make some decisions in the next couple of weeks. But it's not saying a lot, but Chimezie Metu right now, to me, is their best option. I was in the camp of letting Rashawn Holmes kind of try to figure things out and see what you can do. And he had some stretches where he looked okay, but there was more bad than good. I just don't think he's really built or he can't really fit the mold of this team in a backup role. I think he's someone that needs to go elsewhere, and I think he's someone that's still to start. But Chimezie Metu for this team right now, his athleticism, if he can rebound like he did last night, or even half of what he did last night, that's going to help his team a lot in the long run.
Sactown Sports Insider on the Kings, Frankie Cartoscelli, joining us. Sean Salisbury coming up in just 8 minutes. Frankie, Houston coming up back-to-back. Not really. They get a day off, but you know what I mean. They play them twice in a row at home to finish off this version of the homestand. If they lose either of those games, is that just an abject failure? Is there any way around that? They have to win these two?
I mean, I think these are two that you would really – I don't want to say must wins. I mean, it's January. There's so much season to be played, but I don't want to say must win. Something I said similar to yesterday, but they're games that I think would really – it would alleviate some concerns because the team obviously losing the games to Atlanta, and I know it's second time of back-to-back, but then also you lose to Washington and Charlotte last month. Beating a team like Houston, who is the worst team in the NBA right now, they're 10-30, that would really, really make me feel – I mean, I'd feel more confident for sure. I mean, last night's game was exactly what people wanted to see. The Kings beating a team by a lot that you should beat. Houston's even more so. And the fact that it's not a back-to-back, you do have that day in the middle. I know that the Kings are having a light practice today. They're going to take a little downtime. They've been playing a lot lately. It seems like they're playing every night. So beat these if you can take these two games against Houston, you have a game against San Antonio who struggled, a rematch with the Lakers. I mean, the schedule stays quote-unquote favorable. I don't want to say favorable because anybody in the NBA can beat any NBA team on any given night. But before you get to a stretch that includes Memphis and Philadelphia, you really want to take care of business, and especially at home. To me, when they came into last night's game, they were 11-9 at home. That's not acceptable to me. I mean, the Kings have such a good presence at home games. They had 10 straight sellouts. Even last night, in the middle of a stormy week in Sacramento, they were near a sellout. I think the arena was 95% full. So if you can come into Wednesday and Friday nights, the games against Houston, beat a team that you, again, should beat 3 in a row. Again, also that would pull the Kings 5 games above 500, which they have failed to do 7 times this year. They've been at 4 games over, and they've lost 7 straight when they try to go for 5 over. So getting that 5th game out of the way would be really huge. But, yeah, to me, I don't want to say they need to take the next 2, but it'd be really, really great if they did. It'd be nice.
Frankie, of all the big offensive numbers yesterday, whether that's the 8 players in double figures, 39 assists, the franchise breaking 23 made threes, which one of those kind of jumped out to you the most?
I mean, the Kings are a good 3-point shooting team, and to me, the 3-point shooting franchise record. I mean, we saw it last year. We saw 22 last year. It just isn't really something that I don't know. I don't want to be like saying I'm greedy with 3-point shooting, but I feel like the Kings are capable of doing more. I mean, even if their guys are on, if De'Aaron Fox has a better game offensively last night, maybe he knocks down a 3 or 2 more. But the distributing to me, 39 assists, that's really impressive to me. I mean, when you finish a game with nearly 40 assists and you have multiple guys with 6 or more, I think they had Malik Monk at 6, Fox with 9, and Sabonis with 8. That just speaks to how great this team is moving the basketball around. And when you move the basketball around, good things happen. This has been one of the better passing Kings teams in years. I think they're top 5, top 6 in the league in assists per game. That to me just speaks to the cohesiveness and how these guys know how to play together. They're comfortable playing together. To me, it's really just a matter of, the offense is there, and we saw last night they have the shooting and they have the ability to move the basketball around. It's just locking in defensively. Last night they gave up 111 points. I mean, I realized it's been that long, but that's the least amount of points they've given up in over a month since the Cleveland game when they gave up 95. So locking in defensively is, to me, going to be obviously, I mean, that's a very obvious statement, but they need to pick it up on the defensive end because the offense, the team's a very, I don't want to say elite, but they're top of the league offense. So the shooting, the passing were there last night, and it was fun to watch.
Frankie, last thing for you. Terrence Davis, in normal circumstances, you'd be wondering if a guy was in the doghouse or not. I don't know. I don't profess to know what's going on behind the scenes. But is it a doghouse thing? Is it a rotation thing? Is it there's just not enough minutes thing? I mean, even with Malik Monk out against the Lakers, the guy got 10 minutes, and he was 0-4. But Terrence Davis, a guy that was a pretty decent piece for this team early on, and it just seems like he's become invisible lately.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out, too. And I guess to me, it just seems like having Malik and TD both on the floor, it's a little redundant. I mean, they have some similar skill sets, and Malik has the upper hand in a lot of those. And distributing, I think, just as far as making the right plays, I mean, I think Terrence has a couple of errors and made some mistakes over the past couple of times we've seen him. But I think it comes down to just what you need on the floor at that time. And right now, Mike Brown is choosing to go to KZ Okpala with his length and his defense over TD, who brings more of an offensive punch. And when you have Malik on the floor and you have KZ out there, it's going to be hard to kind of wiggle in TD when you already have the offense in Malik. But obviously, it does seem like the Kings are playing 4-on-5 when they have Casey on the floor. But again, defense is priority right now, and Mike Brown is going that route. And it makes you wonder if TD is one of those names that could be floated around in the next couple of weeks for the trade deadline. I mean, I think that's a possibility. He's on an expiring contract. I'm not sure if there's any interest with the Kings and TD staying together past this season. I'm not sure if that's something that's going to happen. But the fact that he's been this out of the picture for some time now, I think kind of gives you a hint of where they're going. But again, defense is a priority right now. And when you have someone like Malik Monk, who is one of the better bench scorers in the league at that position, technically TD and Malik share a position. You're going to get those minutes to Malik and try to plug those other holes defensively. And that's what Mike Brown's doing, especially with the recent addition of PJ Dozier. That's someone else we could see maybe take those minutes from TD because he brings length and defense. And again, that's the Kings' number one thing on the to-do list right now. You got to get better on defense, and TD is not really going to help that.
All right, well, check out Frankie as always digitally, not him himself, but of course all his work at Sactown Sports, in and out videos, writing, so much more. The best coverage of the Sacramento Kings you will find anywhere. Take care of that fence, my man. We'll talk to you soon.